There was a lot of unknowns. It was terrifying. I had a thing size of bigger than a fist in my chest. I played the last game in the Six Nations, and 2 days later I was speaking a eulogy at my mum's funeral. That's crazy. The Rugby Rising Locker Room.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maud and this is Sadia Kabea. Thank you for joining us on Rugby Rising Locker Room in partnership with Mastercard.
Our guest today is a very special Scotland player, Emma Wassell. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Emma is a powerhouse in Scottish rugby. She dominates the second row and is the ultimate line-out specialist. In 2014, she got her first cap for Scotland, and for the next 7 years, she played in every single international match for 50 consecutive games. Mad.
Oh, 54.
Oh, sorry, 54. My bad.
At 4. I'm holding on to it.
All that, and you're a chartered accountant, is that right?
Yeah, we did our exams, yeah.
Nice.
Things changed for Emma recently when she was diagnosed with a tumour in her chest. Thankfully, she's receiving effective treatment and is on the road to recovery.
Right, let's start at the beginning. Could you please tell us your transition from gymnastics to rugby?
As I grew up, was a gymnast, and then there became a point where I just had this growth spurt. And I'm not saying I got too big for gymnastics, but I just wasn't as good anymore. I probably didn't love the individual aspect of it. And then we had someone come to our assembly and was like, we're trying to start a girls' team. Me and some of my friends were like, this will be funny, like, let's go play rugby. And it was kind of the usual, you get into it and then you're like, yeah, I actually love this.
You like hitting things and running hard.
Yeah, like you realise, so there was one instance when I was at school, I hit someone and like, they'd got injured or whatever. And I was just like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And then I'm like, I think I get a thrill out of it. So I was 17 and joined my first senior team, which was Murrayfield Wanderers, and that first 3 weeks was like I had the potential to quit forever then, because I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
Was it the jump?
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. I was scared of everyone. I kept dropping the ball. I was like, I am rubbish at this. Like, it was so fun under 18, and I felt like it was a huge transition. Once you're a little bit less panicky and scared, yeah, all the girls around you want to support you. They want to see you do well. It's just obviously a bit more competitive.
Okay, so you're at the top of your game. You're playing all these games consecutively, 54 games in a row. Obviously, you get to that point. But what are some of the highs and lows during that point, and how did your rugby family kind of support you through that?
The first 22 caps I played for Scotland were losses. And I think at that period of time, you're thinking, why are you still doing it? Like, what are you getting from this? And you do it for the girls. Like, the people that you meet in that journey, you're so in it together that, like, that is why you do it. I obviously love playing rugby and I love representing Scotland. When you've gone through that many losses, your first win, the elation was one of the most incredible. I think during that time, we didn't celebrate the way I think it's really important to celebrate now. It didn't need a night out. It was the fact we could go back as a team, have pizza at the hotel and just be like, we won. The only thing that's ever kind of topped that. It was my 50th cap when we were in the qualifiers. And again, for that World Cup, we were the least likely to get through that final game against Ireland. And it came down to a conversion in the 81st minute. Like, I don't know if you can play to the wire any more than that, but to come out on top after that, like, I'd been playing for the past 4 years just in front of maybe friends, family. That was the first big step for us as a squad becoming professional, which was like a wildest dream.
And obviously you need a lot of support through that whole period of your life. And I think a rugby family is such a big thing. And I just wanted to ask you, like, what does rugby family mean to you and how have they supported you in the last few years?
I think, yeah, that's something I think as soon as you come into rugby, you hear about this rugby family. And like for so long, I'd be the first person to be like, rugby family, yeah. Like, I don't know, it is quite funny, do you know what I mean? It can be quite cliche, but I would say in most recent years, it's become so apparent. I think especially kind of obviously the level that we play at, like how difficult training can sometimes be, how difficult matches, kind of all the other things that you go through together, and you don't realise you're going through all this together, and you're kind of, I mean, Scotland are in a slightly different position from yourselves. We've suffered, but like we've gone through some pretty tough losses and moments of, I would say, you've got a lot of people on the outside questioning what you're doing, but only you guys together kind of know your purpose and know the potential that you all have. But you kind of work through all that, and it's not until something, and I would truly believe this, it's not until something happens outside of rugby that you realise what that group of people are and what they mean and how much they care, even if they sometimes don't show it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there is that element of banter.
Yeah.
There's like that little bit, and it's maybe not always good in rugby, but it's there. It 100% is there. And I just think the people I've met through rugby, like there's just no one else like that.
I always say that I would never have met half the people that I know now in my normal day-to-day life, but like I met my best friends through rugby. I've met some of my closest friends through rugby, people who I'm going to be friends with for life now, and people who know me better than people who I've known for my whole life, but just through the short period of time that I've been playing at the same team with them, playing internationally with them. I think rugby is just a thing where you just get to know each other, because realistically, when you're on the pitch, it's a really intense environment. You're on the floor, you're putting your body on the line for your team, and you've got to kind of have that relationship and know each other. So it's really, I always say, like, rugby, you don't have a better family and relationships that you do. I mean, I might be biased, but I think I do agree, just because the nature of the sport and everything.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy that, like, we've barely met, but I feel like we're friends.
I know you. We're friends. No, I know.
So true.
But it's something about rugby where as soon as you see someone that plays rugby, you're just instantly connected, and it's an amazing sport.
If you're wanting to move city, if you're wanting to move country, I think a lot of people would have like, oh, what if I don't have any friends or whatever? Like, we're so lucky that I could be like, I'll just join a rugby team and I'll be absolutely fine. Yeah. And I think also it's like you make so many incredible friends out of your players, but what I've never kind of appreciated so much is like their families then become so invested in you. Like it's all really, it's a huge, big connected family.
Yeah, like when you're on tour, when in life do you in real work go out with your friends' parents?
I know.
But on tour you do. Yeah. It's like, it is crazy.
And you love it as well.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Can we talk a bit about, your last kind of year, 2 years, and how that's been for you? Just a bit about that.
Yes.
It's okay.
That was real quick. I'm pretty good at suppressing that.
We're so far away, I just want to hug
you. Unfortunately, like I lost my mum during the Six Nations, so it was super sudden. She was there when we played France at home, as she always would be. And it was only, 10 days later. So it was a hugely challenging time. Sorry.
Take your
I'm fine. It was horrific, I won't lie. And I would pride myself on being a strong human being. I wouldn't even be kind of afraid to say that. I would say I'm pretty mentally tough. But that was a new element. And I think obviously in these situations you have, no one can prepare you how you're going to react or how it's going to impact your life. And obviously that is during Six Nations. Like you will know that is that is the most important part of our year sometimes. And I think in that moment you're sometimes like, God, I need to be by myself. You need to isolate yourself. No, you don't need to, but I think that can sometimes be the reaction you have. But a huge thing I did realise is very quickly, I was like, I need to be back around the girls. And that was for an element of normality. I needed it back. And also, like, rugby has become a huge part of my life. My mum knew how big it was to me. My mum loved me as much as she loved all the other girls as well. And I just don't think there would be anyone else she would have wanted me to be. So I got back. I kind of missed the next 2 games. Then I was back for the last game, Six Nations, Ireland. And I think, yes, it was hard initially, but that saved me in so many ways in terms of coping with it. One, because you've just got these people around you. It was so apparent how there they were for me the whole time. And yeah, like, as you say, like we work so hard for each other on the pitch, and I just felt so incredibly supported by them.
I think from the outside looking in, no one would have batted an eyelid if you hadn't played in those games.
No, and there was no pressure.
Yeah, but like you said, from a rugby perspective, you being back in that environment, which you said makes you feel so comfortable, makes so much sense for a rugby player and being in that. And it's amazing that they could be there, even if it's in, you know, really elusive ways and not coming to you and saying, how are you? But like, just to be around that, and that's enough to kind of, you know, give you the strength to even play in that game.
Yeah.
It's really...
I was just super fortunate. I remember thinking, like, I don't even know how, but I was saying this, it feels like it's so much bigger, like how they even supported my brother. Like, they don't really know my brother, like my friends, and it goes beyond like teammates. It was like management, kind of everyone within other players, do you know what I mean, that reached out. You have like people who are generally just fans of the game reaching out and kind of sharing experience. And it was just like, it was a huge supportive community. And again, it was a difficult time. Like, I played the last game in the Six Nations, and 2 days later I was speaking a eulogy at my mum's funeral, and it was like, even in my head, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, what are you doing? But actually it was helped me cope so much, and it's kind of probably given me strength ever kind of since, like, knowing I've got these people and this incredible sport, quite frankly, that has allowed me to deal with this so well.
Thank you for sharing that. Obviously such a hard time of your life, and you've obviously been through a lot the past couple of months considering your health. Would you mind sharing that as well?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and quite unexpected. Again, back in pre-season, really starting to build towards WXV out of genuine nowhere. Like, a pain in my neck. I went to A&E thinking I had food in my throat, and then it was like quite apparent. One of my friends, Lisa Thompson, she was messaging, and yeah, she was like, messaged me about something completely unrelated, and I was just like, look, I can't help you with an Instagram caption right now. Like,
it's bigger fish to fry.
I'm in A&E, and she was like, what are you doing in A&E? And she was like, is your neck still sore? Because she'd obviously seen me at training earlier. And I was like, it's really sore. And she was like, are you by yourself? And I was like, yeah. She wasn't in Edinburgh, and she was like, I'm sending Rona Lloyd. Then she doesn't just arrive. She's like, I'm here. And I'm like, you're not here. And she's like, oh, I'm in the kids' hospital. I'm like, yeah. That would just describe her in this moment. Anyway, she was kind of with me the whole time. They were like, you have a mass in your chest, and like, we're not 100% sure what this is. Like, you're going to be staying over. And I'm a little bit, delirious at this point. So I kind of get taken up to high dependency of the cardiothoracic ward. You know what, true story, we're in the room, me and Rona, we get up to this ward, and Rona's like, so could this be like a abscess, like an infection? The doctor's like, no, it's a tumour. And obviously these guys, they're dealing with this day in, day out, like there's no niceties about it. Straight, and he's like, no, it's a tumour. She won't need emergency surgery though. And I'm like, surgery? What are you on about? I was running this morning. The lengths at which your teammates will go to support you. And again, we talk about the banter side of it. Like, we're going through a lot of serious right now, okay? It is quite serious, and they're referring to it as this mass. You've got this mass in your chest. Rona Lloyd turns to me. Emma Wassell.
Perfect.
And you know, you're like,
Yeah.
I just turned to her, I was like, Ronnie, you can't say that. And she's like, can I not? And I was like, it was the darkest days, but it was just that little bit of light. It helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Like there was just a constant, like I always had something to kind of laugh or smile about. Well, all of this was going on. She was like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Like I was in hospital that day until 3 a.m. She just wouldn't leave my sight. And I was like, go home. She's like, I'm not going home. And I'm just like they're incredibly kind. And there was a lot of unknowns for a good 2 weeks. And that period of time was terrifying. I went to get an emergency biopsy where I had to go in for a surgery. And I got out there and I was screaming, I was like, where are my friends? Like, and I'm in high dependency and I've got Rachel Malcolm feeding me jelly. And you're like, in what world is this even normal?
Yeah.
It wasn't a moment I went without someone by my bed. And I'm like, for the first 4 days, I'd slept almost all day. And I would just wake up and I'd be like, oh, hi. Like, there was always someone there. And I'm not even like, again, you've got your teammates there. And it was hard because at that moment I didn't want to tell everyone because it was so uncertain and there was no point worrying other people. So it was probably some of my closest that were there. But my team manager was there. She took my washing away every single night from hospital. Do you know what I mean? Like a team manager in your team, and then she was so supportive. Like my head coach came and visited me, and in a lot of situations you would think, is that a bit weird? But it just wasn't. Like him and his wife, like hugely supportive of me, and it didn't really matter about rugby in that moment. Crazy old time.
Crazy time. But you're on the recovery now.
Yeah.
You had your surgery. How's that been? How's the recovery going?
Yeah. The safest way to get rid of it would be to get a full sternotomy, crack open the rib cage, get it out.
Wow.
So.
You still have a sternum?
Still it's wired together now.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Will the scanners in the airport go up?
That's the one main question.
No, I know. And then I'm like, whoa. You got take it easy. I don't know actually. But yeah, they are wired together. The surgery was obviously super organised and we I got told I'd be in there for about 5 days. Like all the girls the rota was pre-organised. Like, Sarah Bonner, she was flying up for London for the day. Wow. I'm like, just good people. Yeah. And I was like, guys, I'm fine. Like, I'm going to be fine. And they're like, nope, we need eyes on. We need eyes on. And I'm like, these are ridiculous. It has been a difficult year. But like, as in, there's been so much light that has come out of it in terms of like, the incredible people that have supporting me. I was really sad to miss rugby. I was sad to not be able to just get back to playing, especially how much they'd supported me in a really difficult time. I was like, I want to be there for them. Like, I want to be back. Yeah. But actually, getting through what happened with my mum, I was like, everything in comparison felt easy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, and we can't wait to have you back. Loughborough Lightning cannot wait to have you back on the pitch and just to see you running around again.
I think, just like the training, and it's hard. Like, I want to be in the environment, but it's very hard sometimes to be in the environment and not be able to give it. And like you will know from injuries, like it's like not...
Makes you miss it more.
Yeah, you miss it even more knowing kind of the support you have of the people around you, and just like how much sweeter it'll feel to be back is kind of what pushes me on.
Everyone from the rugby world will literally be screaming and cheering when we see you.
Oh God, as I knock on the ball.
No, we'll still be screaming and cheering.
No, I honestly, like, just even to get back on the pitch, I wouldn't want, and this whole time, I think every time I'm like, do not treat me any different. Or when I'm back, I'm back.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'll still probably try use it at one point. But I had a tumour. But yeah, hopefully, like, the aim is obviously the World Cup. Well, I had a thing size of bigger than a fist in my chest. That's now been removed. I'm gonna be so fit.
Yeah. You're going to be lighter.
You're going to be flying up from the line out, literally. Like,
I am going to be
flying.
flying around. No, I have these really big expectations of myself, but no, I'm trying not to get too carried away. But I'm in a much better place, and it's all done. I've got a cool scar, and probably some challenging bits to come, but the worst of it is over, and I am incredibly grateful for that.
So are we.
Yeah, so are we. We're now going to have a little interactive moment where we offer you some priceless advice in partnership with Mastercard.
So this has been sent in for us to answer. I'm 18 and I've just started playing rugby, but I'm so nervous. Do you have any tips for beginner rugby players?
I think what I'd say is, well, when I first started out randomly in school, and the way I found the love for it was creating those relationships with the players and, interacting with my friends. And I think that's what kind of kept me in the sport. It wasn't necessarily getting dirty or making that hit. What actually initially kept me was those relationships and those players. So I think what a tip I'd give for starting at rugby is really invest your time into your teammates and like finding out what you have in common and stuff like that. So I think, that's one tip I'd use.
I think I felt similar. I was saying before, when I first went into senior rugby, I was super nervous, and I almost questioned, is it for me? Is it not for me? Do I still love the sport the same way I did when I was younger? But I think the fundamental reasoning behind that was because I hadn't built up them relationships with the girls yet. And I had this great team when I was at school, and I'd fell in love with it. And then I came here and I obviously didn't know anyone initially. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't like it. But as soon as I started to get to know the girls, get to know the players, it's still the same game, and it's still everything that you first fell in love with. The reason that you will stay in, stick in, and probably play for many other teams is because of the people the people you do meet are the people that you're going to meet.
Amazing. Amazing advice from both of you. A big thank you, Emma, for joining us today. We can't wait to see you back in action.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, check out some more other episodes of Rugby Rising Locker Room in partnership with Mastercard.
Goodbye.
Bye.